good to see you again. Hopefully not for the last time, but maybe luckily for you it's the last time of the course to see me. You've got lots of homework, you've got a big life to go and live. So we just want to wrap up it tonight, and maybe this is maybe this is the best part of the course. We normally do not think about this part that we're going to talk about tonight, namely a family legacy or a family dynasty. So tonight we're going to look at what is this money thing all about. Remember, we've said that money is only a means to an end. We all know it, we all say it, but it is a very important thing to remember. Sometimes I listen to people when they talk about money, and then they start to chase the money, and that's what I say, rich people chase money. And that there's nothing wrong with the money, but the money becomes the object. Money becomes the focus of my life, the amount of money and whatever. And we must remember, God is not against the amount of money or anything, or against the money. But the point is that where is the relationship with money in your heart? Remember, we've said that sin is not in things. Sin is in the relationship towards the thing. There's nothing wrong with petrol. Just tell me, where do you put it? In your mouth or in the car, in the tank, Everything has got its place, it's got its time. So what is your relationship with money? That is very important. It's one of the 7 relationships, but it's the relationship that's affecting very strongly all the other relationships. And it's a relationship that is, in a big sense, not a person. Your wife is a person, but your money is also a person in brackets. It's alive in that sense, but it's not something like, it's got an identity like a ID book or whatever. So money is something we sort of, sometimes it's only the only focus, and sometimes we just put it's nowhere, sort of, we regret it that we handle money. But at the end of the day, remember what we've said, we've got 2 tracks in life. It's the money track and the relationship track. You had to conquer both of them in life, because life is made that we need to run on both tracks. But the important thing is also to remember that life starts in the family track, then we go to the money track to get provision so that we can bring it back to the family track, because at the end of the day, we start there, we go there, we come back, and although we still handle money, our legacy at the end of the day is not in the first place in the money world, in making the money, but in leaving something for people. Leaving something that is a development, a service, a way of doing, of something that how we've handled people, because the only way to get that stuff in your life to heaven is to deposit it in other people, to start to serve other people in one way or the other. So it is important that we need to realize it. Our definition of the money problem will also determine what is the solution to the money problem. Remember, we've said in the beginning that the money problem is not a financial problem, it is a personal problem. We must remember that. The financial problem is not in the first place a money problem. That does not mean we do not think around money, we ignore money, that's not what we say. But we can help you in, let's say, chasing the amount of money, but if you do not deal with the source of the problem, and the source of the problem starts with identity. It's a personal problem. It's a way, how do you see yourself? I've been driving yesterday through an area in Pretoria, and there was a place that's a bit, what is it, Vervallen or whatever, and there was all races living there, but everyone is living basically the same, it's filthy, the places are not painted, it's just like, there's no pride. I mean, it's as if there's no pride around there. Someone just put a lot of rubbish in, on your pavement, and then it will be for the next year there, but if someone put a lot of rubbish on my pavement, the next day it's gone. Why? Because I'm looking for the culprit and I'm going to force him. No, listen, if I can't find you, I do it myself. But I don't live like that. It is not part of my life to live with filth and to live in a place that's falling apart and whatever. Why? Because I do not see myself as someone that's called to live a life like that. I know I'm called for something better like that. But if you don't believe that you are called for something better and that you are that better person, you will just Make peace with that. You will live in the midst of all this brokenness and all this evil and filth and whatever, and it will even bother you. Why? Because your vision about yourself and your whole perception of your identity is basically the same. Because you always live on the outside what you believe about yourself and the inside. That is a very important thing. I remember, the first time I've been renting out the house, I called one of my mentors and said, can you not give me some clues, how to find a good guy for, to rent? He said, listen, the most important thing is when the people come, they look at their car. I said, well, what's it got to do with the car? I mean, the car is only their transport. He said, listen, the car is their property. They will not look after your house better than they will look after the car. He said, that will be to an indication for you in what will be the end of the story there. And I remember it today, and it's very true. It doesn't matter. It doesn't say people cannot have an old car, whatever. But the way people handle their car is the way also they feel about themselves. If you don't repair anything, if you don't look after something, if you don't maintain anything, why? It's because there's not a lifestyle of maintaining and looking after and preserving things and keep it in a good as possible state. That's just a small hint there. But remember what we've said. If the problem is in the first place personal, then the total solution to the money problem is also the same thing. And I remember, if I can tell the story, we've been planting churches all over the country and being involved with ministry and whatever, and then we found out, that this churching is not really working so well, and we try our best, but whatever you do, everything falls back into inclusiveness and people living themselves. They don't go out, whatever, long stories. You can listen to all of that in the church or congregation stuff that's on its own. But I was looking for an answer, and I remember 2015, I took off a year. I really told the Lord, listen, after about 30 years in ministry, I really believed I found the answer to all my questions except this church question. And I was looking for the answer. So I decided to be drastic, and I took off a year. I bought a house and I just renovated, while I was busy with this whole thing. Because my mind works when I am, my mind works when my hands are working. So I was busy renovating this house, and I remember telling Marianne, that the answer to this thing is right in front of us. There's no new revelation that will fall out of heaven and wow, no one has heard about it. It's something ordinary, it's something of old. I mean, it's right in front of us here, but we don't know that this is the answer. So I was looking for the answer to this problem to the church, and I remember July in the holiday, it was a bit more not so rush. One evening I thought, okay, maybe I must just again investigate a little bit about the wealth creation thing, because the wealth creation thing is a very fascinating facet that we not really come to maybe a little bit tonight. The wealth creation facet, because we know that you've got workers, people that work, and you've got people that's rich, they make plans for money, but then you get a group of people that create money, the wealth creators. It's a small group of people, but I've made a study of these people. It's the most fascinating group of people I've ever met on earth. More fascinating than, to be quite honest, any group type of person I've met in the church world. Fascinating people. They live in a dimension that is as big as the world. I mean, it's a whole study that we can talk a lot about. But this thing, it really stirs me to start to read about this, because we also said, to become financially free, you must become more than just making money and have just a job. You need to become a wealth creator. Because if you're going to work just for all your money, you're going to work very, very hard. You need to start to create money, otherwise you're not going to get there. You're going to work yourself into the grave. A wealth creator starts to know the principles and how to create money, because you're supposed to work less and make more money through your life and not work harder to get more money. You're supposed to work less, because it's actually biblical to work for money, but it's not biblical to work the rest of your life for money, because money is supposed to start to work for you. Now, if your money starts to work for you, you're supposed to have built up a momentum where this money take over your life, where you work less and the money works more. Although you start with working for money because you most probably do not have any money. So this wealth creation thing is an enormous, fascinating thing. And I was sort of on the internet that night and looking for something good to read. And then suddenly I found a book there that I even tried till today, and I tried this whole afternoon for about an hour to find the book again. I find it on the internet, but I find nowhere a place you can download it. But that night that book was there on the internet and I could download it. And the whole book was about a person that is an attorney. And in the wealth creation world, we've got a problem. And the biggest problem is the following. That wealth does not run in businesses. Businesses is cash generators. Wealth runs in families. Therefore we talk about the Oppenheimer family and the Rothschild family. The wealth runs in families. But the problem with wealth creation is that most families lose everything after every 3 generations. Every 3 generations, the 3rd generation, the 4th generation starts with nothing, all from the beginning again. And this guy and his wife was a 4th generation, and their parents have lost everything. So he was an attorney, and he was doing structuring for wealth creators, and so he made it his life purpose to study wealth creators. And why is it that you get certain wealth creators that go through 100, 200 years and then nothing is falling apart? And he was studying this whole thing. What is the reason for all of this? And he came to the conclusion in a nice thick book of about, 240 pages. He came to the conclusion that there's only one difference between those people. And the difference is the following. It is the way how they do family. That's the biggest key. And when I read that thing in that book, I tell you, it was as if my whole life arrived. My first book that I wrote, my first book was never published. The second book I wrote was Family Life. I mean, I even wrote a book, not precisely about family, but it was called Family Life. We were sort of, known in the country as people, that is very strong on family, and we've got a big family, and 6 children. And here, this guy came to the conclusion that the biggest key in wealth creation and in wealth preservation is family. It's not business, it's family. And when I read that thing, that is actually in the business world, if you can say it like that, in the MoneyWise world, I realized I found my answer for the church problem. Because everything in the world is about family. It's not only the business world. The whole world is about family. The biggest reason why we can't get to the success through church is because we're constantly losing family. Because church has become a 3rd structure in society upon the family and the business structure, and we're competing for the time and the energy and the finances of the family structure. And we're not building the family structure, we're building the business structure and the church structure. And the church structure is not supposed to even exist. It's supposed to be part of the first 2. It's the only tracks of society. But the key lies in the concept of family. And then he goes on right through the book. I see I've already written 6 books about it. I only have the 1. I'll try to see him tomorrow. Where can I get the rest? It's actually on Amazon. But the point is that all of his 6 books is all about this whole thing. How do you do family in such a way that you have generational wealth that goes from one generation to another generation? Because there's lots of factors in the whole process. You think about how do we work together? What do we do with our money? Wealth creators never let their children inherit. They don't believe in inheriting anything. They put everything in trust. How do you handle this trust? How do you create a family bank? They're very strong on the family bank thing. They say they appoint elders over a family bank. And how do they handle this family bank? How do you keep this whole family together? It is fascinating, page after page after page after page. And I remember the biggest problem that I even had when I read it was not because, I like the new things, but I said, why have no one ever told us this stuff? We don't even see it in the church world. I've never seen it in the church world. I've found a group of people that's living a life of equality that's better than what the church is even proclaiming. I mean, in the context of what I was sitting in there. And I realized, but this is our problem. We're just taking everything apart. You're part of church, but your finances and your business is there. You've got one life. Although you have 7 relationships, you're one person, one life, one kingdom, one earth. I mean, it's one thing. We're not here to try to tear everything into different departments and whatever. Everything is influencing the other, and everyone is supposed to complement the other one. But the thing that we need to build, that is the origin of everything on earth, is family. Why is family so important? I mean, what is the reason that makes it such an important thing on earth? I mean, I just wrote it down here. It's the only place where you will find someone else that will pay for you for everything. I mean, to raise a children up to the age of around about 20 will cost 2 million rand. I mean, those children sitting there, they are a 2 million rand investment. That's a lot of money. I mean, Audi R8, is around about 2.2 million. I mean, you don't allow anyone just to climb in the Audi and take it for a drive, No. You don't mess with the next generation because it's an expensive project. Because it's the most expensive project that you will ever do. Where on earth can you find someone that will sponsor you for 2 million rand? Keep you in his house, show you the ways of life, teach you the way how life is all about, help you to live the success that's in you for free. I mean, that's our problem. That we've said, remember, that the global agenda is to bring everyone in debt, and to break down the family values, so that people no longer have this privilege of being raised in a family, having a father and a mother, an atmosphere. It's the second one. Where will you find that atmosphere of peace, of wholeness? I remember there when we stayed, it was still a conservative part of Pretoria, although the school said that only 10% of the children in the schools there do have still living with their original father and mother. Only 10%. That's how things are breaking up. But that's the plan of the global agenda, is to take away your atmosphere. Because, we remember what we've said always. We said, I remember we had goldfish. Then the children forgot to give the fish food for a month. And guess what? The fish didn't die. But take out that fish for 10 minutes out of the bowl, then you see how quickly that fish will die. Because food is not so important than atmosphere. Atmosphere is much more important in your life. And if the atmosphere of a fish is water, what is the atmosphere of man? The atmosphere of man is relationships in a family. That's the atmosphere of man. If you take man out of that, he's just dying slowly all the way. Because you're not supposed to, you cannot flourish out of it. That's the problem. The only way is to get that atmosphere back. Otherwise you will be in a slow dying process on earth. Where will you get mentoring? Like in a family. Seeing different age groups, father, mother, teaching you things, all of that they've learned through life. Where will you get support like what you get in a family? Not only in a extended family also. Where will you get the momentum that you find in a family? I mean, there's momentum in a family. I just, the average orphan nowadays in South Africa, when you are in an orphanage, you know what orphanages are about, when you are 18, they just say to you, bye. Then you step out of that door of the orphanage into the world with your little suitcase and with nothing. I mean, how many momentum is that? Even though they've been looking after you, feeding you and giving you school, you step out of that door with nothing, with your suitcase. You've got no place to stay, you've got no money to go anywhere, you've got basically no studies except your school studies. You just step out of an orphanage. I mean, what's your chances of making a success in life? You see, that's the problem. I mean, that because family is a support system that goes right through life, all the way, all around, everything. That doesn't mean my children will forever be in my house or whatever, no. But even though they're outside, they're still part of the support system. I mean, I always remember, when they were in university, I mean, when something happens, guess what? Your phone will ring. Then the tire of the car, I mean the car's battery, and I need so much for the books, whatever. Guess what? Who are they phoning? I mean, when they find a little child on the street, and what's the first question they ask? Who's the dad of this child? I mean, where's the family? Why? Because a child belongs to a family. Belongs to a family. Because you come into this world through people that's in relationship with each other. You're supposed to be raised in that relationship. It's all about your life starts in family, it sustains in family, you grow up in a family, you become mature in a family, you maybe leave family but you're still in a family, then you create a family again, then we become a bigger family, but we never leave family. And I've been talking to people that's got no relatives of any kind, not knowing anyone. You can say, okay, yeah, but our family is not our physical family, all brothers and sisters, in Christ. Yeah, that's true. But there's something to biological family that you cannot just push off the chart. It's something that's been supposed to be there. It's supposed to be the first line of support, of help and everything. I mean, I raised my children and I always told them, they must not fight with each other because they are a team. And when we are not there, they are going to look after each other. They are the first line of support for each other. And it's one thing that I can gladly say I see amongst them. They talk to each other. They will discuss things with each other that they will not discuss with us. But I don't mind because it is right. I mean, they show themselves that they can help each other. They don't need to ask me any longer. They're mature people. But they need to stick together. Because we are, in terms of age, we are phasing out little by little by little, and they need to take over more and more. So family is an enormous important thing, because God is a king, but in his heart he's a father. And therefore this whole world is about a family. Because to be a father he needs a family on whom he can bestow all his gifts and his love and his provision. And to have this family and to live in this family. And we're totally under-evaluating biological family. People, hear me clearly and let me talk to you as the believers and the Christians. Don't let people tell you the nonsense that we build biological family out of spiritual family. That's not biblical. God created biological family. That's also supposed to be spiritual family. We build spiritual family from biological family. Because, I've seen women that get to know the Lord, and if their husband and children do not fall into, if the biological family is not with you, there's always something that is just lacking and lacking and lacking. Although you maybe experience the fullness of heaven, there's something lacking while you are on earth. Because earth was made for biological family. And we have underestimated and moved biological family. Yeah, we believe in marriage and we believe in family. I've seen it in the church world. But at the end of the day, we've got just as much divorces as the unbelievers that's not in church. We can't show that we have a greater, track record or whatever. Why? Because somehow we teach people that, the spiritual family is the big thing. It's not the big thing. The big thing is, number one, that God has made you to be in a biological family that's supposed to be also the spiritual family. The spiritual family is in the home. The congregation is in the home. It's not in a place there, where you see 200, 3,000 people that you never know what's really going on in their lives. And if you phone one of them, they will not come and support you 2 o'clock, The people that you can phone 2 o'clock at night and they will come and help you, those people are maybe family, in terms of spiritual family. The rest is just people that you've just met them. And we are so overloaded by knowing 200, 300, 500 people. but we've got no relationships with them, nothing. So why knowing them? You don't need to know them. Get to the group of people, the 12, 20 people that's really near to you, and spend your time with those people that's supposed to be, people that you look after, they look after you, unbelievers, believers, mentors and whatever. And get a good average of everyone in your 12 to 20 people and spend your time there. Don't try to be the whatever of 100 and 200 people, but you do not have more than 24 hours to spend there. And listen, the Lord has made it in such a way that the whole financial thing start and fall upon family. I've seen many people make a lot of money and then they divorce, and then financially they just come back to zero. You say, but how is it possible? Because these two tracks are running together. You cannot just have one track, you must have both tracks. And he's supposed to be working back to the family thing and into the family thing, because money is supposed to become generational. You need to live into the next generation. The Bible says there in, Proverbs 13 verse 22, it's saying that the good man will let his children's children inherit. A good man. I've met the few people I've met that have inherited from their grandparents, grandfather and grandmother. Can I count on my one hand? Maybe it's one or two. Why? Because if you inherit from your grandparents, they had a definite plan and they have been thinking about you, because normally you don't inherit from those people if there's not the specific plan in place. Because the generation between you and them will eat up and get everything, and it will be all over. So the wealth creator person is a person that thinks generations, that thinks family. I remember every wealth creator that I visited in my life to have a conversation with and to hear what's going on and what's life for them and whatever. All of them said, listen, if you come to talk to me about money, you can just about leave. Because it's not that I'm not against money. It's not that I have enough money. I've got lots of money. But I'm not living for money. I'm living for people. I'm living for a family. It's all about family. Therefore, you will find that 68% of wealth creators, not rich people, wealth creators, will have their own community ministries. That they are paying and sponsoring themselves. They're not asking money from the church for that. They're doing it themselves. Why? Because they know they've got a responsibility in the house. They have defined for themselves what is this house living for. Wealth creation families has got family meetings, they've got family constitution, they've got a family person, a family purpose, they've got family projects. They know what they're living for. They are very clear about it. The things that I can tell you about a family legacy, it's things that we normally haven't even thought of, They've got a plan how to work together. They've got a plan how to build their own bank. They don't depend on an opson or whatever. They build their own bank. They live out of their own bank. I mean, they do their things together. They do their holidays together. They build together. They do everything together, because there's nothing stronger in life than working together. I always say to people, there's two unfair advantages in life. Number one is to have parents that have seen you through and paid for everything, taught you about life and paid for everything. Because there's not very many people that's got that privilege. Number two is to be able to have people, especially family people, that you can work together with in business. Because especially our Afrikaans speaking people are not very well known that we can work together. You see, and it is not that we are not willing, it's not that we are disqualified, it's that we do not have an inheritance where we've learned these things. We haven't learned it. It's not part of our inheritance. We haven't heard about our family that's been working together. We weren't raised in an atmosphere like that. We were raised in an atmosphere of, listen, you get to meet through school and get something to study and get out, Get out of the house and get out of my pocket. But that's not what wealth creation is all about. We think of it as the way to survive, but that is the way down. It's not the way of of growing exceptionally wealthy at the end of the day. Because working together is one of your biggest keys in wealth creation. You know, one horse can pull a ton, but 2 to 3 horses can pull 3 to 5 tons. Because it's all about exponential power. But to get exponential power, it's not just automatic, you know, put 5 people together and we work together. No, we don't work automatically together. We need to have values. We need to have vision. We need to have mission. We need to have agreements. We need to have honoring in our relationships. We need to know relationship. I mean, it is not just, you know, say what you want, do what you want, or whatever. You know, it is like coming to a consciousness that there is a higher level in life than just me and my wife, marriage. There's family. But family is like a word, you know, we're so used to it, you know, family, okay, uncle so, and you know, my brother this and a nephew there, and whatever, you know, we see them once in 5 years, you know, and that's even too much, you know. And I remember I was always raised, and there was this joke, you know, if you see your family once in 5 years on a what was it, the negative of a photo, you know, on the negative, that's enough, you know. Because it's dangerous to see family. I remember as a child how people talk about that. You see your family once in 5 years on a negative because otherwise there will be big problems. I remember as a child how that thing, all people just talk about it. You know, because the devil is out in putting us into fights. He's out for that. I've seen it. I'm coming from a family. My wife is coming from a family. I can tell you stories out of personal situations that will let you... I've been through some of the worst stuff in my life, but that's not the fact. The point is we weren't even ourselves ready for things like that. We were pursuing it, but we need experience about it. I mean, no one told me anything about this. I was never part of a family that ever worked together. You know, what are you talking about? I've never seen, I've never seen family doing business together. So it's a new world that we need to find out from the people that is busy doing it, how they're doing it. That's why I would recommend the books of that guy, James Hughes. Hughes. If you can lay your hand on it or get it or get a Kindle version or whatever. His main book is The Family Wealth. It's called The Family Wealth. And then he's got lots of other books that's flowing out of that one. But to come to the conclusion that if there's one thing you need to fight for in earth, and let me say it again, don't fight for church, fight for family. Because out of family is everything that we so desire out of church to happen, and it's not happening. It's out of family. I mean, everything on earth, every ministry and every church thing, it's got its origin out of a family, out of a person that's got something in his heart. Yes, maybe he built it correct or not correct. That's not the issue. We're not here to criticize. But the point is, everything originates out of individual people that's in a family. And all ministries are actually family ministries. But I'm not supposed to bring you into my family ministry. Our family ministry is called LifeWise. I cannot accommodate you in here. I can give you everything that's in here for free. You can go and whatever it, and you can repackage it and whatever it. I don't mind. But you need to do it with your gifts and with your talents and in your way and whatever. You cannot do it as we do it because we are a specific family. And everything that remains standing on earth is things that there is a family behind it. Focus on the family. OM, YM, you will not name me anything on earth and I will show you there's a family behind it. Of the current 500 strongest companies in the world, 93% of them was started by a family. 93 and still owned by a family. 43% of them are not run by the family but run by an outside person because there's not someone in the family that can run that big thing. But it's still owned by the family. The biggest key to success in the business world is family. I've got other books there that I've written about How many big businesses that was flourishing went down because of family disputes? Because basically all businesses come out of family. But because of family disputes, especially when it goes from one generation to the next generation, who's going to be now the chief around here? Who's going to be whatever? How are we going to work together? And all the issues around it and how they've fallen apart. You can go to, I've read the stories of, even Samson is a family business. Go and read Samson, the story of Samson. It is incredible. You can't believe it. One of the biggest reasons why they are so successful is because of all the family principles they've built into the business. You never make the business a family, but you bring as much principles of family here. They buy a plot of land, then they build a factory there, then they buy everything around the factory, all the housing, or they build the housing around the factory so that people don't need to drive an hour or an hour and a half to get to their work. Then they open up for the people in the factory, they open up all the main lines of a bank and a post office and a retail shop and whatever in the factory. And they've got family rules in their business. You're not allowed to resign if you cannot prove for them that you've got another job. If you can, they say it is irresponsible. If you cannot find a job, we will find for you the job. But you don't leave, you get paid and you work here till you got another job. It's not because there's any tricky thing in it. They said, listen, it's irresponsible towards your family. We will help you. Even though you leave, that doesn't matter. You can study whatever you want. You can come with whatever initiative you have. You will be rewarded with it the moment it works. It's an open relational situation, if you can say it like that. There's lots of relationship built into. And when there are people there that's working for them, they say, listen, we're going nowhere. We will die in this company. Because we cannot find other companies where we can work like this. We are so happy here. They look after us. We are important for them. You see, because family is the heart of the thing. Yes, remember, we don't make the business a family because business remains business. It works on a system and rules. But bring as much as possible family relational principles here, but take also as much as possible business principles home. Because at home you also need a vision, a budget and some organization and order and, and logistics or whatever. Yes, not of that scale in a business, but you still also need it there. But never the house becomes a business. Never. So it's important to run the two tracks. They run together. They support the train. They are directly connected through the train with each other. But they never become one rail. Never, even in life. It's the biggest problem you can do, is to make your business a family and make your family a business. It is not the right thing. So at the end of the day, this family concept is much more than just, two people marry, then children are born, and it's a family, it's called a family. Listen, it is not just called a family. It is the key to society. We've talked about it before we started here. The three places on earth where you find life being birthed is in the individual person, it's in the marriage, and it is in congregation. But congregation is nothing else than family and extended family. And you can maybe even include their spiritual family, that's not a problem. But congregation is nothing else than an outflow of a biological family that link onto spiritual family and other biological family to go into something bigger and greater. That is what congregation is all about. And that's where life is born. That's where life is sustained at the moment on this earth. More than 75% of all people in South Africa, it's got a job in a business where there's 2 to 10 people working from a family that started it. More than 75%. It's the key to the economy. The key to the economy is not Eskom. It's not the big fabrics and the mines and whatever. The key to our economy is the small businesses that started by families And they're keeping this country together. It's not the mines. Hear me. More than 75% people are employed by those people. And those people are family people, normal, average family people. And we've got all a role to play there. Okay. Oh, where are we on the notes? You see, if we can maybe just say something about the wealth creator. You see, a wealth creator is not a wealth creator because he maybe got a lot of money, you know, and maybe he's got a nice business or whatever. The thing that distincts a wealth creator is the wealth creator himself. It's not his business, it's not his money. And he will say to you, you've got lots of hassles to let a wealth creator talk about his business and his money. It's not because he's negative about it, but he says, listen, this is an outflow of life. The real life is here. It's me. Therefore, wealth creators has got a certain lifestyle. They've got certain purposes in life. They're living for something. They are extremely positive people. They are immensely positive about themselves. They precisely know what they're living for, and they just go for it. They're not making excuses for it. Whatever the amount of money is involved or not, they know what they're living for. They invest in themselves in a higher rate than any other people on earth. They spend an enormous amount of money on themselves in the sense of self-education. Because self-education, if they weren't, most of wealth creators today do not even come out of families that were wealth creators. But to get there, they had to spend on themselves in self-education. Because it's the only way you get there. And the average other people do not spend anything on self-education. I always say to people, listen, you must at least once a quarter do some course like you're doing at the moment. Something you study yourself into something that is important, that you need to know, and you go and progress in it, and you're going to build something bigger in your life. But we do not have a value of self-education. I mean, how many books do you read in a month? How many Bible do you read in a month? How many do you make an effort to go and sit with other people and say, listen, I must go and visit that person because he knows something that I do not know. And I mean, I can download from that person for free. You just need to go and visit him. If you need to go and do a course, you know, I mean, when I hadn't the money, you know, to pay for courses, you know, I tried to make friends with people, you know, that I know that know something in life. And you get in their homes, ask them the questions. And you can download for free stuff that's you cannot pay for. It's, you know, it's expensive stuff. That's how my life got momentum. It's because I forced myself. I remember we were staying in Stellenbosch. Then I read about a person here in Johannesburg. Then I said, but I must go and see this person. Drive in my car through the night. Next day I'm there. I remember I once read about, Neville Norden, and I saw, but this guy, he's knowing something, you know. I am lekker in my car, you know. But I could try to get an appointment with him, but he said, but I couldn't get through to him. But I realized I cannot take it as a no. I must get through to him because I really got to the place where I realized that this guy knows some stuff that I need to know. So I drive from the Cape to Pretoria, found out where he's staying, and parked my car before his house, knowing that sometime he's going to get home. And I'm going to take the chance. I know it's not always the best honouring way, but I do not have any other way. So he arrived there somewhere, like, I can't remember what was the precise time. And I said to him, sorry, this is not the right thing, and I want to do it this way, but I must know what you know him. And he was so, you know, sort of shocked, you know, to see a person like this, you know. And he gave me 3 hours in his house. I sat with him and he talked with me. You know, and I never regret it because he knows something that I didn't know at that stage. So get to people that know stuff. And guess what? Where are they? About every person on earth knows something that you do not know. About every person on earth. But do you make an effort to go to people and download from them? Or do you just see them according to the flesh and say, oh, you know, don't like that. No, leave that, but go and download from them. Marianne will remember, I mean, there's not a sectarian group in this country that we haven't visited. Because I said to myself, you know, where there's some smoke, there must be some fire there. Yes, maybe it's growing out of whatever, you know, but let's go and find what's the good there. And I've been at every sect group. I mean, not because I believe and I wanted to join or anything, because to go and learn. I said, just sit down and ask them, what are you people here for? I mean, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? I mean, they like it when you ask them questions. They want to tell you. I mean, they want to find people that they can talk to. And they will tell you. And that's how you listen. And when you see them, you see, oh, there's lots of, viruses around here. But it's not for me now to tell them about it. If they ask me, I will tell them. Otherwise, you just say thank you and you go. Because you came to receive. The 5 biggest reasons for success is number 1, integrity. The main important thing you see on television that's gone in the government and in business. Integrity. The world is falling apart since 1971, that everything is about debt. You just, no integrity any longer. Everything is inflated, overflated, wrong, skewed and whatever. Number 2, discipline. I mean, you see it in your workers, I mean, how much discipline is there? Good relationships with people. Number 4, supportive wife. That's true. Number 5, hard work. Okay, but the first 4 is more important than the hard work, right? Okay, it's very important. Okay, we've already talked about the family system. Wealth creators, what can you see in wealth creators? I mean, they're financially free, they've got good assets, they live for generational wealth, they live for one generation after the other. They master the business system and the family system. And they live for people, they don't live for stuff, they live for people. People make them tick. At the end of the day, they buy their time back so that they can more and more spend time with people and invest in other people, whatever you want to invest. There's lots of things that you can invest in other people's lives. So the biggest responsibility, when you talk to a wealth creator and you ask him, what's your biggest responsibility? He will tell you it's raising up the next generation. We've always thought about, the rich people, they are there in Hawaii, maybe on the strand, all these things, make a lot of money that we can just tour and be on the sand, I mean, that's not wrong, but that's a rich life. That's not a wealth creator's life. It's not that they don't do it, but they know their priority is not to have a holiday. You can have X amount of time on a holiday and then you become frustrated because how many times can you dive there and lie on the beach, and it's still exciting, After a week, it's, it's nice. Nice, but but the biggest responsibility of a wealth creator is to raise up the next generation. Because if the next generation is not living the same values as you, I can promise you that all your assets and all whatever you have, even though in a trust, will all go down. And that is the difference between wealth creation families, as we've said, that go 100 years and longer, and it's because the next generation and the education of the next generation is the priority on the table. Is the everything that's on the table. Because the next generation must be able to have the same education, the same experience, the same know-how, the same wisdom, the same knowledge. Otherwise, how will they handle something like what you've built up and just, and be able to sustain it and make it even bigger? If you haven't educated them correctly in everything about life. And that's why it's their focus. Maybe most of you know that film, what's it called?
The Ultimate Gift.
The Ultimate Gift. Of that grandfather that left his whole company for the grandson, but all the steps he had to go through to learn life and to understand how life is coming together. That's our biggest challenge, people. The biggest challenge in life is not putting up a business. It's raising the next generation. It's raising up a family that stick together, stay together, live together, do together, because that's the biggest key to everything in life, is to stick together and to go forward together. But remember, we are different. The family structure is a very unique structure because no one in the family structure is the same. We in principle do not have authority over each other. We've got different roles, different creative purposes. We've got different gifts and talents. So this family structure is a very flexible structure. But we need to learn how this structure works, how to handle the relational stuff in it. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to stick together. And it's not that it is so difficult, if you can say it like that. It's just that we were not taught this stuff. And you know, when the tacky hits the tar, you know, it's a very difficult time now to know what's going on and to save the thing. Okay. So everything in life happens in a family. It's raised in a family, it's supposed to stay in a family. Therefore, we get only wealth creation, you will only find in a family. Because it is not, it is more than mere knowledge. You need wisdom. I mean, you know, especially when you come and you make really a lot of money. You know, it's one thing when I tell you you've got 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, you know, 10 million, we put it maybe in houses and whatever. But listen, if you start making 200 million a year, where do you put that money? Have you ever thought to yourself? I mean, that's a big problem. We've seen it when we play the MoneyWise game. I mean, there's two phases in life. The first phase is this difficult phase to break out. I mean, I see the people when they play the game, they push and they buy, you know, and they deal, you know, and they moan and they groan, you know, because it's difficult to stand up and come to the first 100,000. But the moment they go over it and they go into maybe 1 million and more, then suddenly you hear the people around the table moaning again. But now it's a different moan. They don't know. They can't keep up with the books, you know. This is too much money, you know. It's going over their heads, you know. Things are going too fast around here. Just stop the game that we can get, you know. What must I do with this, you know. This is too much. You know, the game of looking after 2 million is a total different game than making the first million. It's a total different game. Absolutely different game. You think you know it when you've made the first million. No. Then you will realize when you come to the 5 to the 10 million, you're going into a total new world. With total new, not say new rules, but it's a total different ball game. Because it's no longer about pushing into it and getting it, you know, and whatever. Suddenly the thing starts to run with you. Suddenly things fall off, you know, you just lose 1 million there because, you know, your books were not in line, you know, you couldn't be everywhere in all the businesses and whatever. Suddenly it becomes a total game, different game. And you weren't prepared for that. And the wealth creators, they play the game in that area. They don't play the game in pushing through and getting the money. I mean, the child is born and from day one all accounts is paid. So they raise him from day one in handling momentum in life. Because they've got momentum and they're just creating more momentum. There's nowhere in their life anything negative. You know, it's one of the most beautiful things of wealth creators. You can put them in any negative situation and they will see something positive. And they will make money out of any negative situation. Things that you will run away from, they will say, oh, there's lots of opportunity here. And they become rich, especially in the times where everyone is running away from it. Because they think potential. Yes, they see the negative, but they see the potential behind the negative. They don't just look to the first line of this is negative. They see the layers and how they can make money out of this situation. And that's what makes them this enormous. How can we say it? I think it's the most dynamic group of people I've been ever living, talking, having a relation to. They are just creative, dynamic, positive. I mean, they just on the move. I mean, they don't get involved in any petty, you know, conversations of the government and the this and the that. They know about it. They know everything. But they just building momentum, and where they focus, they get their results. You know, we focus so much on the negative that it starts to reproduce itself in our situations. So the secret to generational wealth is how to build family, how to keep family together, how to raise the next generation. I mean, these people, they've got a family story. Family customs, family rituals, family beliefs, family values. They've got a purpose for the family. They've got a vision statement for the family. They look at their human resources, their intellectual resources, their financial resources, you know, everything that is an asset year around. They draw up a family plan. They define the bank. They define the governance of the bank. They've got rules, roles, functions, legal structures, family meetings, exit strategy. They just prepared for everything. You know, you won't find in a wealth creation family someone that's just hanging around. No, there's just not something like that. One of the beautiful things of a wealth creation family is that once a year the whole family comes together, voluntarily, no pressure on it. I mean, but there's no reason why you won't be there, you know, because there's so much profit and, what is it, benefits in being there. I mean, a free holiday, you're there, you know, there's benefits out of the bank, you know, you can make loans from the family bank, maybe for zero interest or very low interest, you know. But they are very, very strict upon this, that the family needs to see each other, they need to get to know each other, they need to keep in touch with each other, they need to understand who is who, you know, and then one of the highlights of the holiday is that every person in a family must appear before the elders of the family. The elders are the people that's now living the big success. And they must come and present to the elders what they've done this year. It's not like policing, it's like, you know, bring it to us that we can see, you know, help you to understand what's wrong, you know, what's not working and how we can fix this, you know. And then you bring the plan for the next year. And then you tell us what do you need out of the family and the family bank, you know. Do you need a loan? You need an uncle to visit you every month? Do you need someone to come and help you with your IT system? Do you need someone to come and help you with your what is it, marketing plan or whatever, you know, because everything is in the family. And you can basically get it for free. Because everyone is helping everyone. And we're not here to police you. We're not here to tap you on the hands and say, listen, you're not doing good enough, you know, whatever. It must come out of the heart. Because the whole heart of this wealth creation family is to bring every person to its full capacity and its full production. Every person must become a wealth creator. It's not just living on the bank and the bank will, you know, look after me and pay for me. No, that's not the purpose of the bank. The bank is just a supportive system. What is the bank? The bank is everything that the wealth, that the founder, the first generation, maybe that guy is dead and everything there becomes the bank. And as people die, they give voluntarily to the bank so that the bank can grow and the bank will help you in loans and this and that. But then we work back to the bank. We don't work back to Absa and they take all the money. We work back to our own bank. That's why they become so strong, so easily. You know, the bank is very strong, you know, in terms of billions. I mean, why on earth can the bank not give you every 5 years a car or a medical or whatever? Because the bank can. I mean, the bank is also a business. And the bank must work away the profit. So everything is built around the people and the needs of the people. And everything you want to study, the bank look after you. The people help you. The people facilitate you. But there's just no way. You just don't sit there and you don't make progress. Then they will be on you. If you don't show any motivation and any, let's say, ambition that you want to go forward and make a success of your life and live in the success of your life, they will be on your case. Why? Because that is not normal. You're not supposed to just hang around here. We're not telling you what to do, but we're telling you that you need to do something. And whatever is needed, we will help, but listen, just do it. It's not about financing, it's not about this and this. Just get something that is making you tick and just do it. It can be even spiritual, it can be even helping other people, a community project, doesn't matter what it is. You decide what you want to do with your life. And we will help you, support you and finance you to get to that fullness. And if that doesn't sound for you beautiful, then I don't know what is beautiful. I think most people are just longing for such a type of family where there's peace, there's harmony, there's enough of everything, and there's no competition against each other. And it's built like that every person is a wealth creator, every person has got its own trust. But then there's other trust, and we work financially between the trust, you know, and we help each other. in that sense. And it's not about who's the biggest, the richest, and the whatever, you know. It's how can we put our lives to see to it that every person starts to live the success that is in him. That's it. Nothing else. Will we need a lot of money to do it? Of course we will need a lot of money. So let's get a lot of money. Let's make sure that we don't have that hassle. Because now, most people never reach their creative purpose just because there's not money. So let us sort out the whole thing that money has always got the last say, you know. In wealth creation families, money do not have the last say. They have the last say because they've conquered money. But you need to conquer money. If you don't conquer money, money will drive you. Money will dictate to you for the rest of your life. And your whole creative purpose will be restricted by the amount of money that is on the table. And don't be intimidated by the amount of money that's needed for your creative purpose, because it is not the problem. The problem is for you to get to a place where you make up your mind and say, come what may, I'm going to live this. If it's 10 million or 100 million, it doesn't matter what's the price. I'm going to live it. I'm going not to let anything stand between me and living that thing. That's the biggest problem, because the financial problem is not a money problem, it's a personal problem. There is enormous amount of money in this world, people. Money is not a problem. There's enough money in this world to look after every person on this world, financing everyone. It is just not coming to most of the people because they cannot handle it. They don't believe they can handle it. They just survive. They're happy to survive. They're happy to go on like that. They don't believe they can break out. They never break out. And the biggest problem is they do not have a family that gives them momentum to get out of the thing. Thank you very much. So this is not the end. It's the end of the course, but it is maybe not only not maybe the beginning. You're already on your road. But I really want to challenge you to rethink your whole life, to rethink your marriage, to rethink your family, to rethink your business, to rethink the whole universe. Maybe you must come and listen to Kingdom or church, you know, where we can stretch you out of this thing and say, listen, you are an individual, you are a marriage, but you are also a congregation. You're supposed to do something for the community. What are you doing? We're not sitting here and wait for the church to do something. You as a family need to do it. It's there. You won't be here and you won't sit here if it's not there. And the reason why you experience frustration in life, if I can close off with that, is not because you may be living in sin. It's because the thing that is not, that the gift that's in you is not operating. And if a gift is not operating in you, it ends up in frustration. It's unused potential. There's nothing more frustrated in life than unused potential. And we all came to earth for this enormous big life in the kingdom, and to live out of as an individual and a marriage and a congregation. And if you don't live it, I tell you, it's not because number one of money, it's because you don't believe that you are a kingdom person that's supposed to live this life. And so get aggressive about your life. Stand up and throw off all the nonsense that's been put on us that we need to be humble and whatever. Listen, the best humbleness that you can show is just to be what you are. Don't become anything. You don't need to become it. You are it. Just be it. That's humbleness. Be what the Lord has purposed you to be, and live what His purpose is upon your life. Thank you very much.